I got someone hiding.
Yes, we are live. Awesome. QB Show live.
I'm pretty sure
August 11th, 2015, 6:30.
It is, but I'm pretty sure I have someone hiding.
You do?
Yeah,
You're
maybe.
a minute late. Yeah, who is doing that?
I don't know.
Eric?
It might be.
I think it's Eric.
Oh, I hear someone giggling.
It actually looks like Kevin.
Who could be behind me? Come here,
Kevin
monkey.
doesn't come on the camera.
Come here, monkey, and just say hi.
Eric! There he is, buddy.
There.
Yeah.
Buddy?
All right. Look how big he's getting.
I know, he's getting big.
Wow. He is super big. How old is he now?
He
5?
is 6.5. Starts first.
Oh, he's Isaac's age.
Yeah.
They're like the same age.
Yeah. Starts first
That's
grade.
awesome.
And well, we don't start school until September 8th. So.
Yep.
I think that's a little crazy. Anyway, carry on. What you were saying? August something or other. Blah blah.
Yeah, it's just the habit I have of just saying the date. I know it doesn't really matter, but I do have to say my blurb. And I've changed it over the years, but it still means the same. The Intuit's not affiliated with the show, and anything that I might say, and it doesn't matter what Don and Stacey say, but anything that I might say, since I do work for Intuit, might not necessarily represent the opinion statements or views of Intuit thereof. Thus, I've now absolved all responsibility for anything I might say the rest of the night, and legally I'm compliant.
Legally, you are compliant, and I just want to say.
I got my QB Show shirt on. I wear it every show now.
I do not.
I say Nick washes it, so it's ready for Tuesday.
Next week.
Or I will sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. So, well, I got nothing. I mean, we've got a lot of new stuff going on, but I got nothing really. I did want to mention. Someone's coming on. We did the Windows app last week. Someone's coming on, right?
Yeah.
Talking that. Okay. So
I just got confirmation that September 1st we will have Richard Clark coming on to give like a hardcore, really.
Oh yeah.
Not that we didn't like like a real official. I'm not going to say real, like it's like we were fake, but the official sort of demo and answering questions about the Windows app that we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
So I got confirmation for that, and then I also am trying to confirm Jason is going to come. Yes, Jason will be on to talk about QuickBooks 2016. And yes.
I thought he was on the point of sale. Wow, that's exciting. I
was told that Jason will be on to talk about 2016, and so, right, so I don't ask questions, I just ask for guests to talk about certain products, and then I just say, yes, thank you, I will take them. And so,
that's awesome.
He will be on, well, because 2016 is being launched the 8th of September.
I know. I'm not going to even install it till then. That's when the Pro Advisor, I can download it.
Yeah, so
that's a big change. Like to me, that's representative of how our investment in going QBO, because I'm not even going to install it. I didn't install Alpha. I didn't install Beta. I'm not installing it till I have it in my locker in V1. I'm going to throw R1. I'm going to throw it on my computer. See, I didn't even say R1. I said V1.
Right.
That's how far removed I am.
Yeah.
And I do have a list though.
Well, what I was trying to say, let me just say this. We're going to go over that. We're going over that feature list soon. List soon.
Yes.
So my point is.
It's not long.
No, Jason will be on the show either the 8th or the 15th is what I want to say. And then we have other people.
Cool stuff. Like I wish they didn't put tons in, but only put in cool stuff, and that's what this year's about. It's cool stuff. Sorry, Stacey. I had this Thai food tea. It's a British tea. It's like my favorite.
Okay.
It's almost it replaces like coffee for me, but when I have it, I get a little amped.
Oh, okay.
All right, we can mute him. And we
can
mute him.
I have a big tub of water.
That's good. I should have probably had water too.
I took the infuser out. So I have a bunch of these now from a few events that I've presented at, and so there's these great cups that we get at these events, and they have these infusers in the middle. The problem is I don't like my water to taste like anything. I just want my water to taste like water. So I don't use the infusers, but if I do make this, say, on a Saturday afternoon, and I want to pour maybe a cocktail in it, I will use the infuser to put maybe some strawberries or some pineapple in it.
That's a good best practice.
So, Dawn, I have a story to tell, but I want to hear what's been going on with you.
Well, you can tell your story first, and maybe I can snowball off of that.
Okay, well, my story is very simple. I wrote an article a couple weeks ago, maybe months ago, about how I had started implementing. I was listening to some podcasts. So when I go hiking or I go biking, I listen to various podcasts. And one of them is WTF with Mark Maron. And one of the interviews that I listened to that I really loved was Hank Azaria. And he does a lot of different characters on The Simpsons. And so he was talking about something that he learned from his psychiatrist called the principle of validation. And what the principle of validation is that when you get done doing something, and for him specifically, it's when he goes on stage and he does anything, any sort of like thing as an actor or comedian, you don't get to come off stage and kick your ass about all the shit that you did that sucked, right? So the principle of validation is the first thing that you do when you're done with it is you say you have to go over all the stuff that you did that was right. And you have to start with just the first thing, which is just showing up, right? Just showing up and putting yourself out there. And then I did this right and I did this right, and going over all the stuff that you did well. And then you do that. You spend like 20 minutes doing that. And then you have 20 minutes going over the stuff that you screwed up, right? The stuff that you effed up, right? And you get to go over it. You get 20 minutes. You get to go over that list 3 times of what you did wrong and how you're gonna fix it next time. And then you're done. Then you move on with the rest of your life, right? That's it. And so I wrote an article a couple months ago on stacyk.net about how I had started using that and implementing that not only in my business, but in my personal life. And I was out today with Eric, who you guys just saw, who is 6.5, and we've been trying to get him to practice riding his bike. And he's one of those kids, he's really intense, and if he doesn't do something really well, he's definitely my husband is an engineer, and I am, a bookkeeper, and I'm me, and I like to do things well, and I like to do them well right away, and I get pissed off if I can't, and he's the same way. So we use the principle of validation with the bike riding today, and so every time we would have to stop, we would say, because he was like, I can't do it, and I can't, it's too hard, and so every time we would have to stop, we would do that, and I would say, okay, well, wait, let's just stop, and let's look at all the stuff that you kicked ass at. And so that's kind of what we did today in our house, is that we sort of all the way around practiced principle of validation. So that was just my story.
Wow.
That's what we've had going on.
John, how are you?
I'm
what have you been working on?
I love that that's about implementation and not just, learning, and that's all great, and then you move on to another thing. But that's actually learning what you're and actually implementing what you're learning, which is wicked cool.
Right. Yeah, and part of it too, and I think a big part of it is because I think a lot of us spend so much time just kicking our own asses about what we sucked at and what we're not good at.
Yes.
And so I think the biggest part of it is acknowledging not just, hey, I did this part and this part and this part good, but acknowledging, this is the part that I really kind of stress with Eric, is I showed up. Right? Like I tried. Like I got out here and I got on my bike and I kept getting on my bike, and that I think is the big thing, is that I think that's the biggest part of the principle of validation, is that you acknowledge the fact that you put yourself out there for whatever it is that you're doing.
Nice. And I have a something to add there, which is kind of related but not really, and it's an ask really of our audience. And I think I can put it on our Facebook page or something, or maybe Stacy, you can retweet it. Anybody who's using either the QBO app for Windows or the Mac one that's been out for like 2 years, we have a survey. Just want to know if you take it, and it's basically like a saving time survey. So if anybody's using it, I'm just trying to get data, and so I tweeted it earlier today.
Will you send me the link? Will you email me the link?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I'll email the link to you, and then. Let me hear, and put that, even if, oh dear, yeah, that should be right. Let me know if that link works. It might not. I might not have copied it right. It's funny, whenever I even start typing S, because of how much we email during the day, when I start typing S, it brings up your name right away in my Outlook.
Okay,
you're the first S. You're the
But
first S.
I'm just going to say,
Yay!
Cool.
I'm excited that I'm your first S when you
You
start
are
to,
your first S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're my only W.
Yeah, probably. Hopefully.
okay,
That's
Woody.
cool.
I'm okay.
What's
But
that, Dawn?
I'm okay. I mean, it's
What
not like
happened?
you email all the time. You know what, though? But you're always in my thoughts. Really great. But I do, I'm going to I'll tell a real quick story about the last it's been the last 9 days. Well, it was the 9 days. Saturday, it was a Friday through Sunday. 9 days, 100% unplugged,
Wow.
which was tough for the first few days. And I used this phone. This is called a burner phone. I will go on record as saying I did not kill anyone. So usually people do drugs or I think deals, and then they throw this in the ocean and that, or some things like that. So this phone allowed me to text Emily in between her camps, so I knew when to pick her up, or if she wanted soup or didn't want soup at the end. And I was totally unplugged. And this phone, this horrible phone, it's not really horrible, but this phone was held by Anne, and she took care of all of my emails for an entire week. I said it on Facebook. I said it took me 15 years to get 7 full days. Now I'm not proud of that, but I can say that I was able to unplug, to give her, instead of at night when we would get back from camp, I'd be on the computer, taking care of things or doing certain things, and instead of spending the time with her for the last 4 years, I'd always work. And I said, this year I'm not doing that.
Right.
And so it was an amazing 7 days. I didn't come back to, I came back to things I needed yesterday or last night. I worked till 2 in the morning, just trying to get things done. But it was the best 9 days, I would say, of vacation that I've ever really had. And so I think that's, for all of us, business, which is a large majority of the population in the United States, to unplug for that period of time with your business continuing forward and, not skipping a beat and just keeping going is real, for me, was a real blessing. And I will thank publicly Ann Kettlehut, who really handled my phone and my emails, and Nicole, who I know
Nice.
her, and Kevin and the team, and it was just an opportunity to do that. And so, I had the chance to go to the movies twice, Woody.
Without checking your phone?
I didn't even check my phone. I didn't even know how to use the darn thing. So I didn't even know how to use it. But I went to the movies 2 times. I've never been alone to the movies in my entire life.
Wow.
My whole entire life. I went twice to the movies.
Wow.
Alone. I went to a Broadway show alone. And I walked all across New York just to, just walking around, looking to see where things were. And
Isn't it fun? New York City's fun.
It
You
was
go there a lot.
here. Gotta go here.
Oh, I've been there. Yep.
Okay. That is awesome. So I don't mean to interrupt,
awesome.
but we have some stuff we gotta cover.
Go ahead, let's get back to business. I get it.
Right.
Sponsors.
Sponsors. We'll let you guys do sponsors real
Thanks
quick.
for taking. Yeah,
Because I'm
thanks
going
for
to
taking
post
the
your link
survey.
right now while you're doing this. I was pointing. My dad always told me don't point. That's rude. Sorry.
It's not.
That's fine. So thanks for taking the survey, and I just replied to Pat Hartley and put the link out there too. So that'll be helpful. Avalara.com. That's sales tax management. All that kind of stuff. Use tax, Nexus, Lexis, Plexus, all that kind of stuff. So Avalara.com. They also have SALT, which is sales in, I don't know what the L stands for. Sales and something tax. Anyway, it's a program you can get involved with Avalara. So check them out at Avalara.com. Tsheets.com is time tracking software, but they do other stuff, some job costing, some reporting they're building in. Works on the app. They're worldwide, by the way, like 200 countries now, I think.
I did test that, not going to lie.
And then Fundera.com. Funding, if you want to get a loan, it really helps set you up with lenders. It's a great app. SkylineCloudServices.com, of course, formerly Unidata, SkylineCloudServices.com. So if you're into hosting and you're hosting QuickBooks Desktop or tax or point of sale, and you're still loving desktop QuickBooks along with office products and other things, please check them out, SkylineCloudServices.com. And then QVinci.com, great reporting app. It hooks up to QBO and desktop and Excel. Actually, all three for one report or a bunch of reports across multiple entities. And wow, I wish I had recorded that, because then you know, they could use that for marketing. That was a great last couple sentences.
That was awesome.
It was. It's the Thai food tea. The Thai food tea. Now, Stacy, I don't use Nerf because it's an impossibly challenging platform for me. Not saying that other people love it, so maybe Dawn or Stacy can explain how to get on Nerf.
No. Okay, so I think the easiest way when you're watching the show live, because you can go to the website and watch the show live on our website, but and then there's also the Nerf chat directly underneath the live feed. I think the easiest way is to open up, go to nerfph.com in a new tab, and you're going to log in using your Twitter handle, and so then you're going to go to nerf.com, and then you're going to / and then go to QB Show Live, and it's a little chat room.
Cool.
And it automatically adds the hashtag, which is the hashtag is the same as our Twitter handle. So that, I think, is the easiest way to join in the chat, although you don't have to. You can just do a search for the hashtag QB Show Live, and you can join in the chat that way, although I think the Nerf chat, for me, is the easiest way to follow the conversation. But you don't have to. No pressure. Woody doesn't prefer it. I do. So there you go. Now we have an amazing guest, and she's kind of waiting in the wings.
Gina, wow.
Gina
Hahn. I can actually see her face. I've emailed her for years, but I've never actually seen her. I don't know what she looks like. Wow, how about that?
So she is here. I've been getting a lot of questions on various forums and in the Stacey K Academy about QuickBooks Self-Employed. So Gina.
She's here. Yeah, but let's make sure that we introduce her and she gets to introduce herself. Gina, finally nice to meet you face to face, and thank you for all the years of answering all my annoying 1099.
Hello.
Well, you've been over a bunch of different products. When you were helping me with questions when I just didn't know anything, and it's basically since 2008. So you're awesome. But thanks for coming on the QB show, and it's good to finally put a face to the name. And if you want to just take a few minutes or 20 seconds and just kind of introduce yourself to our audience, what you've done over the years and what you're doing now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think most of my time spent with Woody has been in payroll. So I worked on QuickBooks Payroll for about 6 years, and just recently switched to the QuickBooks Self-Employed team back in February. So that's what I'm here to kind of show today and answer any questions that you guys might have.
That's a big change. How did you jump onto the Self-Employed?
Well, I think it's because I spent so much time working on independent contractors and 1099s anyway while I was in payroll. It was just a very smooth transition over to QuickBooks Self-Employed.
Awesome. And you're in Mountain View?
I'm in Mountain View. Okay. Yeah, our whole team is in Mountain View. It's a pretty small team. The product's only been out for about a year, so it's still changing. For those who kind of tried it out before, you'll kind of see a lot of changes over the next few months.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was in Tucson last week, and we had an AAG offsite with Mark Dean and a lot of the sales teams there. And Self-Employed was a big part of that. We were talking about it a lot. So if you want to just kind of explain what QuickBooks Self-Employed is to the audience, and then we'll go through some questions.
Yeah, sure. And I can demo it as well.
Oh, awesome.
But QuickBooks Self-Employed is a brand new offering that Intuit has pulled together, and it's really been in response to a growing segment of worker in not just the United States, but globally. So these are folks that we call self-employed, but more specifically, they're folks who are individuals who typically, file a 1040 when it's tax time. They usually receive a 1099 miscellaneous or a 1099K as far as income reporting goes. We loosely kind of refer to them as contractors or freelancers, and one of the newest terms that you've probably heard is the on-demand worker or the gig worker. So these are folks like Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, TaskRabbit. So anyone who is kind of part of this new sharing economy, we serve them as well. So it's kind of acknowledging a type of worker that we have never formally served, but may have toyed with many of our different products.
How many customers do we have on Self-Employed now? Do you know? Ballpark?
We have a lot. So we've got a ton of people in our free trial, and then we've got a smaller number as subscribers, but definitely nowhere as big as QBO yet.
Right. And that's a good segue. How does it, like for someone listening, they're like, well, they have Simple Start, they have Essentials Plus, now they have Self-Employed. How does it differ from QBO?
Yeah, that's kind of the trickiest thing that we often get. So one accountant that I spoke to in the past described QuickBooks Self-Employed as a beefed up version of Mint.
I love that.
Beefed down version of QuickBooks.
See, I love that because I just was explaining it to somebody as sort of like the bridge between Mint and Simple Start is how I explained it. So it's kind of like Mint is not quite enough for you, but Simple Start is just a little bit too much, and so Self-Employed is sort of like the bridge that is right in between.
Yeah, so for some people it'll be a bridge, and for others they may never actually do QuickBooks Online.
Right.
And I think that's the distinction that is hard sometimes internally for us to explain, because we acknowledge that if you're an independent contractor, sometimes you don't even think of yourself as a small business, and you may not think that you will ever need QuickBooks Online. And so that's part of our challenge, is making sure we get customers, because there definitely are some self-employed folks who intend to grow their work into a business, a small business or a larger business, and those people really should go down the path of QBO. But for others who tend to kind of stay on their own and just work for themselves, QuickBooks Self-Employed may be their home forever. The other thing that we do that QBO does not do is we actually help with quarterly estimated taxes.
Oh,
so it's
nice.
kind of like a beefed up version of Mint with a splash of income tax preparation. So I'll maybe I can go demo. Maybe that might answer some of those questions. But that's kind of the flavor. It's kind of a Mint with income tax.
No, that's awesome. And demoing I think is helpful because are there transactions in there? I know there's like one report, right? Is it really a report? I mean, those kind of things.
Yeah, okay, so let me jump over.
Awesome.
Can you guys see my screen here?
Yes.
Totally.
I know this is dumb. This is probably a really dumb question, Gina. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
The demo. So people would sign up for QuickBooks Self-Employed versus a different, like QuickBooks Basic, right?
That's correct. Sorry, that's a great question. Yeah, so when you go to QuickBooks.com, you'll see QuickBooks Self-Employed as a completely separate product from Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus. So it'll be totally its own thing. Okay. It's still called QuickBooks, so you'll kind of find it in that family, but totally separate product.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the other thing I should add is there's sort of two versions or two flavors of QuickBooks Self-Employed. One of them is just kind of basically what you see here. The one that's a little bit more expensive actually includes a subscription to TurboTax Home and Business. So if you want to go that route and actually use TurboTax, you can purchase that flavor of our product. And then at the end of the year, it does, it sort of exports all of your data smoothly into TurboTax Home and Business. And the other thing that flavor does is it allows you to pay your quarterly estimated taxes online. So rather than printing out a voucher like people are probably used to doing, we connect them directly with EFTPS, and they can pay their quarterlies in a completely paperless way.
And they have to sign up for that for EFTPS separately, or do you have a functionality that does it automatically?
No, unfortunately, the IRS has still its traditional enrollment process, so we still have our customers follow that same IRS process. So if anyone's ever done payroll before, for example, it's that same enrollment process.
Which is cool. It's totally cool. Which I love that people will actually pay their estimated taxes, which I think is a miracle.
So do I.
And the other thing too, and I don't mean to keep, I apologize is because we have a comment, and we did a practice hangout earlier, and I'm trying to not talk so much with my hands, and it's not working. But But Seth David in the chat room mentioned in the chat mentioned that a lot of accountants were worried when the QuickBooks Self-Employed first was released that basically Intuit was trying to tell users that they didn't need an accountant. And I feel like this is something that happens every time Intuit comes out with some sort of new product. And my reply to that was absolutely not. I feel like this is just yet another tool for
Absolutely.
that you guys are saying, yeah, you still need one and you still should work with an accountant. This just really helps those small businesses, these, the people who are using QuickBooks Self-Employed, really kind of track their expenses, and they still need that accountant to help them do the tax planning. This just really sort of kind of helps them get their, I'm going to swear a little bit, this just sort of helps them get their shit in gear, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Fair.
And that's completely how our team views it. We want to take away the grunt work that accountants might have to do if a self-employed worker comes to them with a shoebox full of receipts and paper. But hopefully, those clients can stay organized year-round. And it's not really just about preparing for income tax, but our hope is that a self-employed worker can take a look at this, and much like a W-2 employee can look at their pay stub and know at the end of the day, I've got all these things that were taken out of my paycheck, and at the end of the day, what is my take-home pay? And that's often something we hear from our independent contractors, is that because they don't have anything withheld from their payments, they don't really know how much they should be setting aside from taxes, and some, frankly, don't even know they have to pay quarterlies. And so it's a pretty big surprise when they get their tax bill at the end of the year. So what we hope to do is help those clients sort of keep a year-round eye on how they're doing as a self-employed worker, but also keep all their stuff organized so that at the end of the year, where it's more likely that they do go to a CPA, that all their stuff is organized, and the CPA can focus on the higher level strategic advice and the more complicated questions that a lot of these workers have, instead of just sort of entering data entry of receipts into a spreadsheet or some other place where then the accountant can figure out what the taxes are.
Right.
So the hope is really for this to make an accountant more efficient, and definitely as you guys probably know, we totally stay clear of offering tax advice. Legally we do not want to do that, because we recognize there are a lot of nuances that workers have that we cannot possibly advise them on.
Right.
And we do the same thing in payroll. We really try hard not to advise people on tax things, and we refer them to accountants and other folks who can do a far better job than we can. So my hope is really that this takes away the grunt work, so the accountants can focus on more important stuff.
Yeah, I always found it, it's interesting, I always found it amusing, a little frightening, and yet enjoyable when a CPA would always ask me about accounting advice in QuickBooks, because I'm not an accountant at all. But anyway, that being said,
we'll shut up and let you do your demo.
Yeah, let you do your demo and workflow.
Yeah, well, jump in with questions along the way.
Oh, I do have one. I did have one. Stacy already asked it. I know we can't commit to this yet, but is there a plan, as far as like hypothetically, where I could add this to my client list in QBOA?
It's on the roadmap, actually.
Nice.
So we know that that's important for our accountants to have one place to go to serve all their clients. So we definitely have that on the roadmap. And kind of, just before this this session, actually, I was sitting in on some user research that was performed by our AAG group. So there are definitely a lot of folks who have accountants top of mind, who want to find the best way to make this product work for accountants who have self-employed clients. So we're getting there. We're not there quite yet, but I think even sessions like this will help me understand, what's important for this community, and make sure we help and not hurt our most important influencers.
That shouldn't be a complication. So.
Okay. All right.
Well, you have clients, you want them to make their payments, and if we can't, it's like pushing a rope. Maybe you can help us get that rope to, be pushed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I would love to hear how accountants are encouraging that today, because I mean, when I get to the taxes page in the demo, we show our users what we believe their estimated taxes are, but based on our data, we know that a lot of people, even though they see what they owe, they're making the choice not to pay their estimated taxes each quarter, and they're just waiting until the end of the year. And it's, you know, there are lots of reasons why people do that, but we could talk about that when we get to that page, so you have a little more context over what we're showing our users.
Now we're going to let you demo. We're going to both show.
Okay. There's no problem. I love these questions. Okay, so this is our home page, and it should look really familiar to QBO. We're using the same type of look and feel that QBO uses. But this is kind of the dashboard, and so the intent of this page is to give our users a quick snapshot of how they're doing as a self-employed worker. Like, at the end of the day, am I making any money or not as a self-employed worker? Like, should I keep driving Uber, or should I keep doing these random tasks in TaskRabbit, or maybe I'm just not spending my time efficiently? So we give a quick snapshot of their business profit. The thing that we would like to incorporate more of is to get a picture of take-home pay and actually show how their estimated taxes affects this number. And then we do a quick snapshot to show people like where their money's going. This is their spending. Like, based on their self-employment work, this is where all their money is going to support their day-to-day work. There are cards at the top to kind of remind folks about things that they can do. So for example, just like in QBO and like in Mint as well, people can connect their financial institution, whether it's bank, credit card, PayPal accounts. They can attach as many as they want. And what happens when you do that is, in your transactions, we show every single transaction that has come through that financial institution, and we allow folks to classify them as business or personal. So at a very fundamental level, that's the main task that we ask users to do. There's also a mobile version of QuickBooks Self-Employed, both for iOS and for Android. And the way that you do it there is you just kind of use your finger and you swipe left or you swipe left to say business or personal. So it's intended to be a really quick and dirty way for folks to do that classification and then separate their business activity from their personal activity. The categories that you see off to the side here, these are actually all the Schedule C categories that people would see on their Schedule C forms. So today we do not allow any custom categories, so we keep it pretty strict to kind of keep things clean for now when it comes to income tax time. And of course, we have a help topic that explains what these categories mean, and we give examples of each one, because we know that the challenge a lot of folks have at the beginning is they have no idea what the proper category is. And we know that accountants are very concerned about that, because they, it's just like in payroll. We don't want your client to have a totally messed up QuickBooks file and then expect the accountant to do massive cleanup by the time they finally come to the accountant. So we do have an obligation to do our best to try and educate the user on what the proper categories are. And I totally acknowledge we will never do as good a job as an accountant can on this, but hopefully we do some of the really simple ones. And then maybe, at least what we've heard from other folks is, for things where the user is unsure, they can just bucket it as uncategorized. And when they do have that conversation with their accountant, they can look in the uncategorized bucket and figure out, what is the right place for that kind of transaction.
We have a question from the chat.
Yeah.
And that is Mariette, my friend Titi from our Abo group. She is wondering, last year you guys had an awesome special, $9.95 for the entire year. Yeah, and I think that was because you guys had just released it. So are there any great deals this year is what she's asking.
Well, I know our marketing team is constantly coming up with new and creative promotions. So I don't even know what they are off the top of my head, but we're being pretty aggressive on our marketing. Some of you may have seen a television ad that we had. We also are on radio. So we're really trying to get the word out since this is a brand new product. And so, our marketing team is pretty active right now. And we also do a lot of different in-person events. We'll be at QuickBooks Connect, as you might expect, at Sleater. We were at Scaling New Heights. So we're trying to give the opportunity to, let accountants learn about us and take in the feedback about, what things work well, what things should be done better. But yeah, lots of marketing.
And then there's another question here. Can accounts be edited so that the name can be changed?
Repeat that again. The name?
Yes. So the question is, can accounts be edited to change the name?
Oh, well, let's see. So, for example, if you're thinking, all right, maybe I timed out. Well, there is a place where you can change the name. So in this account, for example, I don't think I actually have my first and last name in here, but normally you might see, hi, Gina, up here at the front. So you can change your first and last name.
What about the chart of accounts? I think that's the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. There actually is no chart of accounts in here.
Oh.
So I could hear the shock reverberating.
Right.
What are you categorizing to? I guess what's that list?
So, okay, let me go back to transactions. So there is no chart of accounts in here.
Like, literally, you could hear the pin drop.
Yes.
When you said that for all the accountants. We were all like, wait, what? I don't understand. I know that she's speaking English. I just don't understand the words that are coming out of her mouth. Like, we all just got really confused.
Yeah, so, I think that's part of our challenge being called QuickBooks. Because with the QuickBooks name comes, all sorts of expectations around what this product is or is not. And one of the things it is not is what you might expect when you think of QuickBooks. So there is no chart of accounts. There's no list of customers, no list of vendors. One of the things I mentioned up front is, one other person has described it as a beefed up version of Mint.
Right. And that makes sense. And so the categories are listed, you guys just put these in A to Z. We might add some, and we might add some here. I mean, we put them in A to Z. We might add some as we go along, right? I mean, we can't, but I mean, the development team, right? So,
yeah.
And it's just categories, quote unquote, which we all think are accounts, but this is never going to be like a product. You probably can't answer this, Gina, but that it would like convert up to QBO, right?
Well, we've talked about what is the right path to QBO, because we totally recognize that. I mean, especially in the earlier days of this product, there's a lot of confusion around should I get QBO or should I get QuickBooks Self-Employed, and there are definitely some things that QB SE does not do. And so, for example, one right now is invoicing. There's no way for a QBSE customer to send an invoice and get paid here. And if that's something that's really important for that user, we tell them you should definitely go to QBO. If that's something that's important for you, we already have another product that may work better. So this is really, as I said, designed for an individual. Think of an Uber driver who doesn't really need a heavy level of accounting that you might expect a small business to need. And someday, if they do more than Uber, or I don't know, we've heard some Uber drivers, they actually create their own business and they own a fleet of cars that they then rent out to other Uber drivers. I mean, that begins to look a lot more like a small business where really QBO is a better choice for them.
Yeah. That's good.
But anyway, so I mean, this is really designed to kind of help prepare them for taxes as far as the categories go.
Sure, that makes sense.
And if you don't feel like adding your financial institution, you can just type in your transactions by hand, or you can import a CSV if you don't want that bank feed to happen.
Or maybe if you are using a bank that doesn't like a small local bank, because I have a few clients who have very small local or regional banks and credit unions, and so I can only get a CSV.
Totally.
Yep.
And the banks, the financial institutions that we support are actually the same ones that QBO has. And
So
anytime a customer requests a new bank, we just add it to the list that QBO has.
And we have another question.
Yeah.
Just so that you know, one of the questions that we have here is, how are estimated taxes computed if there's no chart of accounts?
Well, funny you should ask. I will jump over to that page. So this is our quarterly estimated taxes page. These are divided into the 4 IRS quarters, which don't match what people normally think of quarters. They're not all evenly spaced apart. The recommended payment is here, and then we also show the amount that the customer has paid. But the way that we do these payments is unique to our product. No one else does it this way, and this is something we're still experimenting with. But the goal for our estimated payments are not necessarily to have zero penalty, but really to minimize the surprise of the tax bill. So what we do know is that many of our customers have income that fluctuates pretty wildly in some cases from the prior year, or even from quarter to quarter, and that's why you see there are different amounts here. And this is sort of all dummy data, so it may look kind of weird, but
right. But we get it. Like, we understand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And the way that we do this is we actually take your actual business profit, and on top of that, let me see if I can show this. On top of that, we project your profit for the remainder of the year, so that we base your estimated taxes on a forecasted annual profit.
Hmm.
And so, and I'll stop for a second, but yeah, go ahead.
Wait. I'm just going to say, this is another comment. I almost said peanut gallery, but that is a shitty comment because it's not a peanut gallery.
I'm in the gallery.
It's not a peanut gallery. It's like legitimate audience, and they're sort of awesome, and they've been with us for like almost 5 years. Somebody just commented that this would be a really great feature to have in QBOA. I'm just going to put that out there. So
I heard that. Yep.
Just FYI.
Yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that suggestion, so thank you.
And the comment exactly was, what better tool for us accountants to use, which I love.
That's great.
We can make sure the numbers are right and use the tool to make quick work of it. You need this quoted, and you need to send this to the,
I do.
the QBOA team.
So, I mean, we've gotten mixed reactions to the way we do this. Some people love it. Some people, don't understand it and therefore, don't think it's the right way. But, since we're in quarter 3 right now, like I said, well, I don't have any data for the last 3 months, but normally what we would do is you'd show your profit in that quarter, and then the part that we haven't gotten to yet, we estimate for you, but the user can totally edit that. So if they know, for example, they've got a big payment coming in Q4, they can adjust that. And that affects their annual income, which then affects their quarterly taxes. And that's, in a nutshell, how we calculate these numbers each quarter. So let me pause and see what people think about that.
So I've seen this demo. Like, I sat with Alex when this, like a year or so ago, before it actually got released, and he showed this to me, and it was nowhere near this, right? So, and I loved it then, and I thought it was amazing, and I said, this is really super great, and I love it. So but I've never quite seen this, I guess, this big of a demo. So
This is relatively new. We just introduced this design a few months ago. Probably earlier I want to say June.
Okay.
So this is very different from what you remember with your
well, no,
demo
this
with
was
Alex.
like before you guys even launched. But I mean, since you guys launched, I've seen demos. I've seen demos regularly, and I have not quite gotten. I guess I've never kind of gotten this deep into it. So this is actually really interesting.
Okay.
So we have another kind of comment here and that someone is saying. There's no way to capture the other factors of the tax estimates and implications. If they're self-employed, what about the tax bracket outside of a self-employment tax?
Great question. So we try to do a little bit of that. So there is a place where the user can fill out their tax profile. So this is basically their filing status that they might see on, say, a W-4 if they were a W-2, but marital status, head of household, dependents. We also have a space where it's pretty common for many of our contractors to also have a normal W-2 job, so we include a space for that. If they are married, filing jointly, we also have a place where they include their spousal income and withholding.
Right, and that was the next question is what about the spouse earnings? Okay.
Yeah, so all of that is, just as you had mentioned before, designed to get them into the right tax bracket.
So part of that, one of my questions would be, is when you put that there, it's annualizing. So is it calculating to put the tax up front on top of the, so let's say I'm self-employed, I use this, and I have a profit of $10,000. Let's keep it simple. And then my spouse has an annual earning, or is there an ability to put quarter by quarter what my spouse is making, so it doesn't make me have to put more tax in? Like the tax planning functionality is much more complicated, I think, but I love that this is a step one.
Yeah.
There's so many self-employed people who are just like out of their minds and they just don't pay attention, and we want to beat them up a lot and try not to be violent. But I guess maybe this is not designed necessarily, which is not good or bad, just not for the more sophisticated tax planning. It's not a substitute for a full-blown tax planning, I guess is my question.
You're right. Yeah, we keep things pretty simple under the assumption that most of our self-employed workers have a pretty simple situation.
Right.
And we assume in many cases that if they have a more complicated situation, when they do talk with a tax preparer or tax accountant, that this will help. This is like a baby step to help them get there. But you'll notice, we don't include other income sources, like if they have rental property or investment income, and those are all things that'll affect their final tax picture. And we're not trying to be TurboTax, for example, and we're not trying to take the place of an accountant for sure.
And that's not about that.
Well, and so I want to say this. Okay, so Dawn and I think I warned you, Gina. Like Dawn and I tend to get a little bit back and forth, and sometimes we might argue and have different points of view on things. And I feel like maybe, Dawn, don't get mad, but I feel like maybe you might be getting a little bit into the weeds about this. Wait, no, let me finish. Just wait.
You're going to get 10 seconds.
Well, no, I'm going to get more than 10 seconds because I'm going to say this. Like, I feel like maybe a little bit into the weeds, and like this is an estimate, right? I just want to remind everybody this is an estimate, and I think an accountant, would charge more in most cases. I'm assuming, like a tax preparer would charge more in most cases, so it's worth it to the taxpayer. So, like, I just want to remind everybody, like, we're not trying to get it down to the nickel. This really is like an estimate. That's all I'm bringing up. That's it.
And I agree with that. And I think it's
better than nothing.
You're not doing now. all
It's better than
Should
nothing.
that be our marketing tagline? It's better than nothing.
No, no, but if I'm an Uber driver or something, or I'm like a working musician gigging around McKinney and restaurants and stuff, then I'm using this because I don't have transactions. I don't need transactions. I just want to hook up to my credit card or my checking account. It'll at least give me a better idea, and then I can give something to my accountant to do their wizardry. You know what I mean? And I think that's what, Gina, that's basically what you're talking about here, which is great.
Yeah, but I recognize there may be definitely cases where it is better for that worker to be on QBO. This just gives them another option if for whatever reason the accountant or the client doesn't think QBO is right yet. Because we know that we have plenty of folks who are just not choosing to join that QBO family, and we want them to be part of our ecosystem.
And there's a lot of people who are not choosing to do anything, and I feel like this is, this is a huge step up from, I don't know, I don't do taxes, so I just feel like from the tax preparers that I talk to, like this is such a better option than nothing, or getting that shoebox full of receipts or some half-assed Excel spreadsheet. That's all. I'm just saying. Like this is better than. I think that you should market that.
It's $60 a year, right? It's like $60 a year. It's like
maybe you should use that tagline to account.
I like it.
That this is better than nothing.
It's actually very tongue-in-cheek. I like it. Yeah. So anyway, if this is like one of the payment options, so like people who still prefer snail mail, they can totally enter all this data, and we'll print out a familiar looking payment voucher, and they can snail mail in this with a check. For people who prefer a paperless option, they would only have this if they purchase the slightly more expensive flavor of QB SE. And in this account, I've already enrolled, but we sort of tell you what the recommended amount is. If folks want to add or have a different amount, whether it's more or less, they can totally do that. This is the PIN and password that they get from the IRS, and then once they do that, it's just like any other payment, like our payroll team does. It goes off to the IRS, and they're done. And then that payment is recognized back here, so they can kind of keep track of when they paid or what they still owe. We know that a lot of our customers choose not to pay, and we think that's okay. We want to make sure they understand what their tax obligation is, especially at the end of the year when they do have to file their income tax, so they're not surprised. But if they have other needs that they need to take care of instead of their estimated tax, we let them make that choice. And that's our current position, but I would love to hear if there's something different that we should be doing in terms of encouraging people to pay their estimated taxes.
Well,
we can try.
And, I should also mention we only do federal. We do not today calculate or support payments for state estimated taxes.
Which is, you know what? If you can get 1 out of 2, you're winning.
Yeah,
okay.
I will agree with that. Yeah, I will absolutely agree with that. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I know we're running out of time.
No, you know what? You could stay here for another 2 hours if there's more stuff that you needed to show.
Well, let me
that's how awesome. Dawn and I were just we have like an instant message going behind the scenes, and we were just discussing how awesome this is.
It's a very good topic. It's a hot topic. This is fun.
Yeah.
All right.
And everybody, so just so that you
more.
know, everybody on the chat is like, this is like, we should start talking about this shit right now because it, like to get them ready and get this going so that, for next year. So everybody's like kind of saying like, this is a really great time to sort of start implementing this and talking about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, one thing I did want to mention, because I know that sometimes, TurboTax rubs some folks the wrong way, that when we do include this in the client list for QBOA, we'll actually be hiding all of the TurboTax stuff, acknowledging that accountants would prefer their clients not go through TurboTax most of the time, and would prefer to actually help the clients on that part. But in the totally sort of I guess self-service version, they do have an option to do their annual income taxes through TurboTax. And that's where we basically suck all the data out of QuickBooks SE and we plunk it into TurboTax Home and Business to try to streamline that process and basically reward the customer for being diligent throughout the year and kind of keeping their stuff organized so that their end of year filing is a lot smoother. The other thing I should mention is we have a mileage page. So QBO, as far as I remember, doesn't have an explicit mileage tracking function.
That's correct.
Okay, but this, as you might imagine, is really important for most independent contractors. And so at the moment, it's pretty straightforward where you add a trip, you just have a description and your miles, and we calculate that deduction for you. We are working on integrating with different mileage applications, web or mobile, so that you can actually just import your data if you are tracking your mileage through some other way. I should also mention while we're here, for your vehicle stuff, we do capture a little bit of extra data too. This is mostly to help people when it does come time to do income taxes, but if you've ever had to try and remind your clients to even just do their beginning of the year and end of year odometer readings, or maybe just keep track of the miles that they tracked the entire year, there are places that you can do that too.
Oh, so this tracks mileage too, so you don't need...
Is there an app though?
No, sorry, we don't yet actually do the mileage tracking.
Oh, I thought, okay.
You do that somewhere else, and then you just input it here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and
it would be so super freaking.
I know, we're working on it though, because we know.
All right, I'm just saying.
Oh, and one other thing too, this is something we released recently. You can also attach your digitized receipts to each transaction.
So can you, like with the mobile app, can you take a picture?
Yes, you can take a, well, I should clarify. So like if you go to our web application on a mobile device, you can take a picture and then attach it. Our native mobile apps don't yet do that, but again, on the roadmap. But so for now, yeah, you can totally take a picture and then from your photo library on your phone, go to QuickBooks SE and then just attach it from there.
Okay.
So yes, you can.
And
you can attach. You can attach any image you want. I mean, some of our users are scanning in documents. Some are taking photos with their phone and then attaching. And right now, you can just attach a single receipt to each transaction. But if we start hearing that people need to do more than one receipt, or maybe they have like a super long receipt and they had to take 2 pictures to get it, viewable. We can add that too.
We have a question in the chat, and it's from Seth. And I'm just going to say that this is maybe, I feel like Seth might be, our friend Seth David, and he might be a little bit being maybe a troublemaker, but it's a legitimate question. So he's saying, why use QuickBooks Self-Employed and not Mint? And my first reaction is that this will calculate and will pay the estimated taxes, right? So this, like that would be the first reason why, at least just part of it, it'll at least pay the federal, again, not the state. So
tracking mileage too.
Yeah, and it'll, so, and you can set up other things like you were showing earlier. You can put in your spouse and all that other stuff, and it does other things that Mint does not do.
Oh, here's a good,
right.
Valerie Heckman, she has a great sentence on it. It's, Mint doesn't do any tax planning, mileage tracking, attaching of receipts, or divide biz and personal the same way.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I wanted to say hi to Valerie.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Way back.
Oh, yeah, cool.
But so yeah, so the whole receipt thing, that's there, and also we are rolling this out in the UK. That we've sort of soft launched in that market, and then we'll do a much broader launch soon. But that's our sort of global reach at the moment, US and then soon UK.
Nice.
Nice.
And I think that's mostly it, unless people have other questions. There's a free trial, so people can sort of poke around on this without any obligation if they want to. And then if folks have questions, just ping me.
Well, Gina, thanks so much for spending the whole time too. This is really cool. I'm sure you have other things to do, but it was really cool going through self-employed.
We have one more question. I'm so
go for
sorry.
it.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it. So there's one more question, and that is the commingling of funds. So
Yeah.
How does it deal with that?
Let's see. Well, tell me more about what that means. We have a way to split a transaction. So let's pretend this row right here is not from Chase, but let's say it's from Costco. And at Costco, you could buy a whole bunch of stuff, which might actually be in different categories. Like you might have materials and supplies, you might have office expenses. So that's what our split allows you to do.
Okay.
So you could take a single transaction that flows in from your financial institution, and you can break that up into multiple business and multiple personal ones, and then you just categorize them with the same categories that you saw before.
So if you went to...
Does that answer that question?
Exactly. So if you went to Costco or something and you bought some crap that was... and not crap.
Well, maybe some I don't know, fruit roll-ups.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? Or cheese balls. They're not for the office.
Right. Fruit roll-ups is a good example, right? So maybe I am at, say, Office Max. If I were to use this printer that's right here that really never gets used, okay? So let's say I go to Office Max to get ink cartridges for this printer that I try. I try like the dickens, I'm going to say that, the dickens to not use. And my kids say, hey, can we get these fruit roll-ups, or can I get this Sharpie? My kids are always wanting whatever pens or whatever crap that they want to get. And I say, yeah. I could come back and say, yeah, the $400 for cartridges, because that's about what cartridges cost these days, is business. And then the $4 is personal, because that was me buying the crap that my kids wouldn't shut up about and that I had to have. I had to get them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be exactly this case.
Yeah.
Personal.
Transactional, not because you said there's not a chart of accounts. So it's not that you're trying to enter a personal credit card versus a business credit card. It's just transactional.
Right.
And that's not a downloading capability. It's a lot of manual entry. Is that correct?
I don't think it's manual entry.
No,
I'm going to say it really acts like the bank feed in QBO from what I've seen.
It is a bank feed. Yeah, it's totally a bank feed.
You would put your personal account and link that also to this. This is my question.
Well, you could, because if you used, I have a client right now who's just starting, here's a good example of this. I have a client who's just starting her business, and so she doesn't have a business bank account yet.
Yeah.
So she's had to use her personal account for a bunch of stuff, and right now she doesn't even have her LLC set up. She's in the process of getting all that set up. So this right here is perfect for her, because she can pull in her transactions from her personal checking account and assign which is business and which is personal. And when she gets to the point where she has her LLC set up and she, has all of that, we can move her from this to, and hopefully we'll be able to convert by then. I don't see it happening for a while. We'll be able to move her from QuickBooks Self-Employed to maybe Simple Start or Essentials. But this is perfect for her, because right now she is using a personal checking account because she doesn't have any other bank account. She doesn't have a business yet that she can go open a business account to do that with. So this would be her only option. And here's another question too, one more, and then I promise we'll let you go. We've kept you for so long.
No worries.
Oh, sorry. Is that somebody else is asking, and then Dawn has, oh, I lied. We have 2 more questions.
That's fine. That works.
It's been a long time since we've had somebody that we've kept this on. So there's
Okay.
one, oh, dang it. Maybe there might be 3 questions. The first question, Dawn, you have to wait in line because there's 2 questions from audience and they take precedence. First one from the audience is inventory. No way to track.
No, that's right. No inventory. We currently do not do the traditional cost of goods sold. Although, you know, as you saw, we do recognize materials and supplies, and there are other things that on a Schedule C kind of fall into that cost of goods sold bucket. So we are totally sort of a cash-based model. So as far as cost of goods sold can be tracked that way on a Schedule C, then yes, we can handle that. But there's no inventory here. Yep.
Okay. And the second question from our audience, and this, I think this is Cindy, maybe it is, there's no way to reconcile accounts, right?
It's not a bank rec feature, right?
Right.
Correct.
Because this isn't really truly like an accounting system. I mean, this isn't, so there's no way to go in and like enter a starting balance and reconcile and enter an ending balance, or enter an ending balance and reconcile the account.
There's not a way to do that today, but we have heard that feedback is, I mean, essentially we want to make sure that the self-employed worker is, you know, knows what's in his bank, and it basically is balancing his checkbook, I guess is the easiest metaphor that I can think of at the moment. So we do want to make sure that whatever they see in QBSE matches at the end of the day any other place where they are keeping their money. So we don't do anything like that today, but something that I know others have asked for, so we may come up with something in the future. We'll be adding a reports area at some point soon, and we'll start with having a profit and loss statement, kind of an industry standard profit and loss, even though you know, we have a couple of reports here. These are much more tax focused, but for example, what we call our tax summary contains pretty much the same type of information you'd find in a P&L, but it's, you know, it's not laid out in a traditional format with the net profits at the bottom, but we do break out, you know, all of your expenses by the categories that we have, and then we add a bunch of stuff that you might not normally find on a P&L, but is helpful from a tax perspective. And so we are going to be adding a more traditional P&L pretty soon, and probably also a way for users to download all of the raw data in QBSE, so that if they did want to create a custom report or different view of information that we don't yet support, then they have this ability to do that too.
Nice.
Awesome.
John?
I have a question.
Okay.
So just for...
Let's cap it here, though, okay? Because I know Gina's got to go, and I do too.
Thanks.
Well, and Dawn and I may have a discussion that, Woody, you can go and Gina, you can go, but Dawn and I may have more discussion after.
Sure.
Just us.
This is, like, I don't know. So from an accounting perspective, I'm not going to lie, I have a concern about an accuracy dependency. So how do I, you know, I have self-employed people that don't pay their taxes, and I feel like there's no, like, how do I drill into, and I don't want to get functionality-wise, but a little bit I do, how do I know that they've gone through the downloaded transactions and they've picked categories that I can't determine or I can't set up or whatever we talked about in the beginning? How do I'm going to prepare their taxes, or they're going to use TurboTax. It doesn't matter if it's me or TurboTax. I really don't care, honestly. I just want to make sure that I don't, 2 years later, there's not some kind of an issue. So how do we, as their supervisors or their CEOs, tell them how we know their stuff's accurate? That's what
And I would love to talk to you more about that, because that's definitely a concern that we've heard loud and clear from the accountant community in the last few weeks as we've been, asked to do demos and kind of do walkthroughs of our product, and that is a concern because a lot of folks in this community are legally liable for those tax returns, and so of course it needs to be as accurate as they feel comfortable with signing their name on behalf of that client.
TurboTax is responsible.
Okay, so I'm going to cut this off and I'm going to ask this, Gina.
Yeah.
Would it be possible if maybe I created like a form for people to submit questions? Maybe we could have you come back on.
That's awesome.
Like next month.
Sure.
Maybe either in September or October we have you come back on and we'll post, because we have like a Facebook page and then Seth, there's a bunch of places that we can post it. So what I'm thinking is, holy balls, we are way past time, and so I apologize and I want to thank you. But why don't we, what I'm thinking is we will, because we could probably talk about this for days and days, so I will post like a survey asking for people to submit questions. There's a cat, that's leftover. So we'll post a survey asking for people to submit questions, and then we'll have you, I'll get with Danielle and Kim, and we'll get you back on sometime next month.
And that would be super helpful for me, because, I mean, that's kind of feedback that I and the team needs to make this product better, and that's great. That would be, I mean, without even me having to ask, the fact that you volunteered, that is awesome.
Yeah, we could probably have you on like once a month.
Yeah. I would be fine with that.
This is really good.
I will drag some of my colleagues on here too, because
that'd be cool.
No, like if you want, like the next time you come on, if you want to bring whoever from your team, bring them as well. That's totally, we're fine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But Gina, thanks a lot. Gina Hahn with Intuit and QuickBooks Self-Employed. That's awesome. Thanks for coming on, taking the time. It was sweet. Great demo. Fun discussion.
Yeah, cool. This is amazing. Thank you so much. Look at how you're so great. Thank you for
thank you so much
time. We kept you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Awesome.
This has been really helpful. Really.
Yep, totally.
This is amazing.
And Don and Stacy, did you have something you guys were gonna talk about? I'm gonna go swimming. I'm gonna go for a swim.
Well,
no, we're out.
You don't want to?
No, we're going to do our thing. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, you guys can do your thing.
Yeah, we may hang out a little bit.
Okay.
You can go, buddy. Because
all right. Well, hey, it was good. It was great having us all three on again together. It was fun.
I know.
And we'll see you. We'll see you next Tuesday.
I love you, Woody.
Right on. Take care, everybody.
Mostly.
Okay. So your comment to me, we're live.
We're live.
Oh, we're live. So do you want to do this? Do you want to have this discussion? Because we can have it live.
Okay. What is it?
It was about the reports.
Yeah.
Like you said to me that you feel.
No, I just asked if were there. I didn't see them.
No, there were no reports. But my thing was, do you want to? We can do this. I'm perfectly willing to have this conversation live.
Do it.
Because your comment, do you want to state your comment, and I will like it could be like point counterpoint, because I tend to disagree. Your point was...
Say it.
I have to go back to the records, and your point was...
No effing reports, I said.
There's no reports, but your comment was that you don't think that a business owner is serious about running a business unless they are looking at reports, I believe is what your comment was.
Yes, I agree to that. I'm not going to stand down from that.
Okay, so why do you say that? Let's talk about that.
Many reasons, because if they don't know their profitability, if they don't know what their balance sheet looks like, if they don't know what's happening in their business, I think that I don't think business is a feeling.
So the way that you phrased your question was, if they don't look at reports, then they're not serious about their business. Is that,
there aren't any reports in this, so how it doesn't even matter. No one can get reports. That would be my biggest comment. Not that they would look at them, because trust me, it's like stabbing them in their eye.
You know, one thing that we didn't ask was that if they could export to Excel. I need to start taking notes. So, like reports, are there reports?
Honestly,
export? Because if they could export to Excel, then they could get reports, right?
True. They could do, like a refresh thing.
We need to have her back on. We could have kept her for another 4 days, just nonstop.
I'll bring her over here and she'll sit down on the couch over here and she'll stay here. That's what I'm saying. No, I just honestly, I felt like how was I going to get to the details of, regardless, I don't need to prepare the tax return. You know what? There's no money in tax returns.
Right. And so this is why I wanted to have this debate, because the way that you phrased it in the chat was if a business doesn't look at reports, then they're not serious about it. And I would tend to disagree with that, because I have clients who do not look at reports. They rely on me to sit down and explain the reports.
100% agree with you.
Okay, so then that sort of is it's splitting hairs a little bit, right?
Well, it is and it isn't. My question would be, if this product can't develop anything that you, Stacy Kildall, couldn't interpret for the business owner. Doesn't even make, listen, I have people who the bag is empty, if you know what I mean. The F bag is empty, which is fine.
I know.
You know what?
I would call it a bucket.
It's a bucket, and they can't read them anyway. So I'm cool with that, but somebody has to. And my only point was that I felt like, how am I going to get this system? That's what it is.
And that's where I wanted to get with you after everybody else was gone, is that I would disagree that a client or a business owner can be serious about running their business without looking at the reports, right? Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay, so we agree, because the way that I think this might be like a show first, where I feel like we need to do like a fist bump. We need to do no. We need to do like a fist bump, because we 100% agree about this.
100%. 100%.
Okay, and that's why let's get this out and let's talk about this, because I feel like I have a lot of clients who I can show them report after report after report, and they're gonna just look at it and their eyes are gonna glaze over.
Agreed.
But unless I say, hey, this is the situation and let's have a conversation about this, they're really not gonna have any freaking idea what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Okay.
100%.
Okay. So that's what it was. It wasn't necessarily that they're reading them themselves. It's just that they're...
Someone can.
Okay. Because I was going to say that's not fair. That was not fair to the business owners who don't, that maybe don't have time to read the reports, or maybe don't know how to interpret reports that we give to them. I felt like your statement was not fair to those clients.
No, it was a very broad, not like a chick broad, just
right.
I want to make that clear.
It was like you were painting it like with a broad brush, right?
Like a big roller brush.
Yes. Okay.
So with saying that, though, the tax part of that, the tax planning and all of this, we go on for hours, but I think that's great. I think it's great if it can be accurate. I'm concerned that a self-employed person doesn't choose the right category, because you know why? Because none of them care, and that the tax, they either underpay or overpay, and then there's a criticism of their advisor or implementer, or even if you spend an hour with them, they're blaming you. So there's just some sense of, hey, who's really responsible?
Right. Well, and I think that's what we were talking about earlier. Like, these are estimates, and I think it's one of those things where if you're very clear about what it is, and you are pretty what's the word I'm looking for?
Involved.
No, that's not the word.
I'm going to tell Seth David, because that
No, what I'm trying to say is I think if you clearly communicate what the tool does and exactly what the expectations are, like this is an estimate, it's not going to be down to the penny, and here's what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
I think that, you know.
I like that.
Yeah. Like.
So here's the thing though, so I'm just going to give my opinion about estimated payments.
Yes.
It's just an opinion. It's not a fact. It's not tax advice. But I believe in my experience that a $100, $200 a week set up EFTPS. Here you go. You know what? You set up $200 a week. It's a 10,000, whatever, 11,000. I can't do the math. Payment. You can just set that up automatically for your client if you know that their tax is typically XYZ. I'm not saying that this is something that would be negative for people. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, we as their advisors need to be more involved and paying attention to the tax implications at year end. But this could get help with a gauge. But it depends on them. If they're that involved in their categorization, that the system is going to depend on that estimate. But at the same time, you know what? I want them to just send money. Send your money. Send it.
Right.
Because you haven't sent it for the last 5 years, and you're not listening, and you're complaining when I give you the tax bill. I don't want to hear about it. TurboTax doesn't, calculates, and you're like, oh, I think this is wrong. If I go to blah, 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 then my tax is less. Well, that's stupid. So pros and cons.
Right.
Great start. I think there still has to be involvement on the part of someone who's knowledgeable. And I'm not saying Gina did not say that wasn't the case.
Nope.
But I love it. I think it's a great start to something that could be a value add for all of us.
I don't do tax, so I don't care. How about that?
My bag is empty for competition.
Your bucket?
It's about how do I service my clients better.
Right.
I love that. Gina was great.
We're going to have her back on, and we're going to have to schedule the whole hour again. I mean, that was ridiculous. So
I have more questions.
This was an hour-and-a-half show. This was like back in olden times. Do you remember when in olden times?
I know I'm older.
Well, do you remember back in olden times when we used to be Radio Free QuickBooks, and we used to do this all via just the listening, not with the video?
Like 60 hours probably.
Yeah. So this is really great. All right. I'm glad that we hashed that out about reports, because I felt like so just so that everybody understands what was happening, I'm going to say this and then we'll end the show. Dawn and I were talking via like Google Chat, and she mentioned something about how businesses weren't serious if they weren't looking at reports, and I didn't think that was fair, and so that's where this stems from. So thanks everybody for sticking around for an hour and a half.
Wait, clarify that that was not my point.
I know, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation. Right. That's why I wanted to have this discussion. That's why. Yeah. Okay. So everybody, thank you very much. Like, amazing. I'm going to put out a survey for you guys to submit questions, and we'll have Gina back on to talk more about QuickBooks Self-Employed. This was a great show. Oh my gosh. One of my favorites. Who do we have next week? I have to promote that. I do believe it's Joe Woodard next week.
Oh, well, interesting. I love it. Intuit Cup, probably.
Probably, most likely.
Not one picture.
No, he'll have nothing on his walls. Yeah. Yep.
Walls. Right.
All right. So I'll see you next week. I've been pointing a lot tonight. My dad always said that was rude to point at people. So I'm going to let you go. Thanks, everybody. Good time. And you got anything left to say?
We're out.
I have one thing left to say, and that is...
Good day and laser!
Boss, good day and laser!